While college football had been a staple of American athletics for decades, it wasn't until the 1950s that the National Football League began taking the country by storm and started knocking off baseball for the title of America's game. The 1958 NFL championship between the New York Giants and Baltimore Colts was dubbed the greatest game ever played and would set professional football on its current path. With future American legends such as Johnny Unitas, Vince Lombardi, and Tom Landry on the field, it was the dawn of a new age in America. The NFL dominated professional football at this time with hard-nosed defenses and tough running backs like Cleveland Browns star Jim Brown. However, a young oil heir saw an opportunity for competition. In 1960, the American Football League was formed by Lamar Hunt as a direct challenger to the NFL, bringing new teams, bold ideas, and a faster style of play. Though initially dismissed, the AFL's influence would leave a permanent mark on the sport and help shape the modern game we know today. The Buffalo Bills were born as a charter member of the newly formed AFL, founded by businessman Ralph Wilson. Wilson had been a minority owner of the NFL's Detroit Lions, but had little say in operations. The NFL had tried and failed multiple times to bring professional football to Buffalo, a key trading hub at this time in American history. Wilson had a choice of cities to bring the new team to, but after meetings with city officials and business leaders, he sent Hunt a telegram with the now famous words, "Count me in for Buffalo." The franchise quickly became one of the AFL's most competitive teams during its early years. Playing their home games at War Memorial Stadium, the Bills built a tough, blue-collar identity that mirrored the city they represented. Under head coach Lou Saban, Buffalo emerged as a dominant force in the mid-1960s, led by a relentless defense by Tom Sestak and efficient QB play by Jack Kemp. Both would be future members of the Buffalo Bills Wall of Fame. The Bills captured back-to-back AFL championships in 1964 and 1965, defeating the San Diego Chargers in both title games.
The Bills' Jack Kemp, a former Charger who was let go for $100, takes his revenge on his former teammates with an 18-yard pass advance. Kemp again, and a bullet down the middle to Ernie Warlick. The Buffalo team is on its way to a second consecutive title. They cap that touchdown with this one-man spectacular. Butch Bird takes the ball on his own 26, and he's off for a 76-yard touchdown run.
When the AFL and NFL merged in 1970, the Bills entered the new league as one of the AFL's, now dubbed the American Football Conference, proudest franchises. But the 1960s would be the last time the Bills would ever call themselves league champions. The 1970s ushered in a new era for the Buffalo Bills. In 1969, Buffalo selected Heisman Trophy winning running back O.J. Simpson with the first overall pick in the NFL draft out of UFC. Early success was slow to arrive as the team struggled to build a competitive roster around him. But by 1973, everything changed. Behind an offensive line known as the Electric Company, Simpson delivered a season for the ages. In just 14 games, he rushed for over 2,000 yards, becoming the first player in NFL history to reach that milestone. It was a staggering achievement that cemented his place as the most electrifying player in football. With the expansion of the season from 14 to 17 games, Simpson still holds the record for most yards per game in NFL history. Simpson's speed, vision, and breakaway ability made him must-watch television. Defenses knew he was getting the ball and still couldn't stop him. He followed up his historic season with several more dominant campaigns, capturing the league's MVP and leading the NFL in rushing 4 times. Simpson's historic 1973 season wasn't just a milestone, it was a cultural moment for the league. At a time when defenses dominated and passing offenses were limited, his ability to control games on the ground felt almost unstoppable. Every carry captured the possibility of a breakaway run, and opposing defenses stacked the box knowing it still wouldn't be enough. Buffalo's offense revolved entirely around number 32, and for a stretch it worked, leading the league in rushing 4 times and earning 6 Pro Bowls. On a weekly basis, Buffalo was must-watch television, not because of the standings, but because O.J. Simpson could change a game with a single step. Yet despite Simpson's brilliance, team success remained elusive. The Bills made the playoffs only once during his tenure, and by the end of the decade, Simpson's playing days in Buffalo were over. Famously, OJ would lead a troubled and controversial life in his post-playing days that are outside the scope of this video. The reality is that very few people remember OJ Simpson as the great Bills running back he was. However, a lot of it may be for good reason. Jim Kelly was originally drafted by the Buffalo Bills in 1983 in the first round out of the University of Miami. Instead of joining the struggling team, he chose to sign with the upstart USFL. Kelly would win Rookie of the Year and MVP honors with the Houston Gamblers, but the league would fold in 1985. Kelly finally arrived in Buffalo in 1986. The team struggled that year, finishing with just 4 wins and 12 losses, but a mid-season coaching change would alter the future of the franchise. After a 2-7 start, Hank Bullough was replaced by Marv Levy, a coach who had already won 2 Grey Cups with the Montreal Alouettes in the Canadian Football League. The partnership between Levy and Kelly would soon spark one of the greatest and most heartbreaking runs in NFL history. By the 1980s, the foundation was already in place. The Bills had drafted future Hall of Fame defensive lineman Bruce Smith, wide receiver Andre Reed, along with future All-Pro linebackers Cornelius Bennett and Darryl Talley. 2 years later, they added running back Thurman Thomas, who would go on to become league MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. The 1988 season marked Buffalo's true breakout. The Bills reached the playoffs for the first time in 6 years and advanced to the AFC Championship game, a sign that something special was building in Western New York with the lightning-fast offensive system. The Bills transformed the NFL with their K-gun offense, which relied on a fast-paced, no-huddle offensive attack. This was revolutionary at the time, and it forced the NFL to change their defensive substitution rules. The legacy of the K-gun can still be seen today with the proliferation of no-huddle offenses. That revolution started in Buffalo. The K-gun offense would boost the Bills to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances starting from 1990 to 1993. However, in tragic fate, the Bills would become the first team to make 4 straight Super Bowls, while also becoming the only team to lose 4 Super Bowls. None would be more heartbreaking than the first. Down by a single point and time winding down against the New York Giants, Scott Norwood of Buffalo attempted a 47-yard field goal that would win them the game. Then came the most heartbreaking 4 words in Buffalo history. No good, wide right. This would be the closest Buffalo got to winning the Super Bowl. The next 3 years were all double-digit losses to teams from the NFC East. After missing the playoffs in 1994, Buffalo would go on to win only 1 more playoff game in the 1990s. Kelly and Levy retired after the 96 and 97 seasons, and most of the other key members either retired or left for other teams by the closing half of the decade. However, in Buffalo fashion, the 1990s had 1 more heartbreak in store. Buffalo hired their former defensive coordinator Wade Phillips for the 1998 season. During this time at quarterback, the Bills bounced between fan favorite Doug Flutie and the ownership-backed Rob Johnson. Despite Flutie leading the Bills to a 10-5 record as the starter, Johnson started the last game of the season and was named starting QB for the wildcard round against the Tennessee Titans. Johnson had a bad performance, but the Bills scored a field goal with 16 seconds remaining and kicked back off to Tennessee to seal the game, where only a miracle could save them.
At the 25, pitches it back to Wycheck. He throws it across the field to Dyson.
He's got something.
30,
He's got
40,
something.
50,
He's got it.
40,
He's got it.
20, 10.
He's got it.
End zone. Touchdown.
Tennessee would go on to win the game and the AFC Championship on their way to the Super Bowl. Wade Phillips would be fired the following year, and by 2002, both Johnson and Flutie were out of Buffalo. The game was also the final of Bruce Smith's storied career in Buffalo. Bruce Smith was drafted first overall by the Buffalo Bills in 1985 out of Virginia Tech and was the foundational defensive piece in the Bills' Super Bowl runs. In his staggeringly long 19-year NFL career, Smith would be named an All-Pro 11 times, along with winning Defensive Player of the Year twice in the 90s, all of which were with the Buffalo Bills. Smith was a versatile defender who could defend the run and the pass. He still holds the NFL career record with 200 sacks. Smith was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009. From 2000 to 2016, the Bills would miss the playoffs every single year. The 17-year playoff drought was the longest in sports at the time. One of the only highlights during this era was seeing the former members of the 90s Almost Dynasty being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. However, through it all was the loyal fan base, better known as Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia is more than a fan base, it's a community. Known for unmatched loyalty, passion, and resilience, Buffalo Bills fans embrace their team through heartbreak and triumph alike with their own unique style. From legendary tailgates filled with camaraderie, food, and long-standing traditions, to snow-covered stadiums and record-breaking charity drives, Bills Mafia has become a symbol of pride, toughness, and unity, representing not just a team, but the soul of a city. Unfortunately, in 2014, the longtime owner and founder of the Bills, Ralph Wilson, passed away at the age of 95. Wilson was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009. The team was subsequently purchased by Buffalo Sabres owner Terry Pegula, who recommitted to keeping the team in Buffalo after years of speculation of moving to larger markets like Toronto or Las Vegas. The fortunes of the Buffalo Bills began to change in 2017 when the team hired former Eagles and Panthers defensive coordinator Sean McDermott as head coach. In his first season, McDermott led the Bills to a 9-7 record, just the second winning season during the franchise's long playoff drought. On the final Sunday of the regular season, Buffalo needed help. The Bills had to rely on the Cincinnati Bengals to defeat the Baltimore Ravens. In the closing moments of that game, quarterback Andy Dalton engineered a last-second touchdown drive, knocking the Ravens out and sending the Bills to the playoffs for the first time since the 1990s.
Green for sure will be doubled at the bottom of the screen.
Ravens trying to end it here. 4th down. Dalton steps up. Dalton throws. It's complete. Caught by Boyd. Tyler Boyd. Touchdown.
In gratitude, Bills Mafia flooded the Andy Dalton Foundation with donations, raising more than $400,000 for charity and cementing a tradition that defines the fan base to this day. Although Buffalo missed the playoffs the following season, the dawn of a new golden age was on the horizon, one that would redefine the franchise: the arrival of Josh Allen. Entering the 2018 NFL Draft, Allen was viewed as one of the most raw and polarizing quarterback prospects in years. His physical tools were undeniable, but his college tape at Wyoming raised serious concerns. His accuracy was inconsistent, and many doubted whether he could ever develop into a true NFL starting quarterback. New general manager Brandon Beane bet on the upside. With the 7th overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills selected Josh Allen. Although some fans were skeptical,
in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen.
it would not take Allen long to win them over.
Jumps over the defenders to pick up the first. Now, how many quarterbacks have you ever seen hurdle anyone?
Despite the flashes of brilliance, Allen's first 2 seasons were statistically underwhelming. But in 2020, they would double down on their QB, trading for star wide receiver Stephon Diggs from the Minnesota Vikings. The results were immediate. With Diggs, Allen took a massive leap forward. Supported by a disciplined defense led by McDermott, the Bills surged to a 13-3 record, captured the AFC East title, and reached the AFC Championship game for the first time since 1993. Allen earned his first Pro Bowl and All-Pro selections, officially arriving among the league's elite. Key contributors like Tre'Davious White, Deion Dawkins, and Ed Oliver helped form the core of a dominant roster. Buffalo went on to win 5 straight AFC East titles, finally ending the New England Patriots' 2-decade stranglehold on the division. The individual success peaked when Josh Allen was named NFL MVP in 2024, the ultimate validation of Buffalo's long-term gamble. But even in this new golden age, one obstacle remained: Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Between 2020 and 2024, the Bills were eliminated by Kansas City 4 times in 5 seasons, all of them coming down to a handful of plays or calls that will live in Buffalo infamy. Much like the Buffalo Bills of the 1990s battling the NFC East, this generation could never fully overcome its greatest rival. Despite heroic performances from Josh Allen, Buffalo's defense repeatedly fell short in the biggest moments. After another devastating playoff exit in 2025, the Bills made the difficult decision to move on from Sean McDermott. He departed as one of the most successful coaches in franchise history, second only to Marv Levy in total wins. The 2025 season would mark another new era in Buffalo. They would be saying goodbye to their longtime home, Ralph Wilson Stadium, and welcoming the state-of-the-art field, Highmark Stadium. While the terms of financing remain controversial, it was a commitment that guarantees the Bills will stay in Buffalo. While most new stadiums opt for a dome to reduce weather impacts, Buffalo leaned into their advantage and left it open to the snow and rain. Joe Brady was promoted from offensive coordinator to head coach to replace McDermott. He hopes to lead Allen and All-Pro running back James Cook to the promised land. And the one thing that Buffalo has not been able to attain.
I can see the parade. I can feel it. I can, 5 degrees brisk, rolling down, hearing the bus roll over all the salt and the ice.
Yeah.
Thousands upon thousands of fans filling up downtown Buffalo. I can see where we're going up on the steps at City Hall. I see it all. So you gotta make it turn it into a reality.